Hey, yeah. Hey, hey, chocolate, chocolate, chocolate.
Okay, everybody, hello and welcome to what I hope will be an interesting dive into React Native.
No, not native. React regular.
Just React, just React regular.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe,
Who knows?
maybe.
We'll do the second part.
We'll
native.
see. We're not native just yet. My name is Roy Osherove, and I'm joined by Gil Tayar.
Yep. Hi, I'm Gil. And I'm gonna teach Roy React.
Gil, what do you do?
What do I do? I'm a senior architect at Applitools. I'm also an evangelist for their platform. Applitools is a company that does visual testing, where you can not only test the functionality of your application, but also the visual part of it, so that you can be sure that how it looks is what you expected it to be.
Okay, so I'm definitely a big fan of testing and visual testing.
Yep, that's
Definitely.
for me. It's the missing piece of the puzzle.
Okay.
So maybe we'll be also talking about it here, but we'll be definitely going into testing our code because we're both fans, each with his own methodology.
Yeah.
But we'll definitely go there.
And Gil, you and I met at the conference. What was the name of that conference?
TestCon.
TestCon,
Well, see?
yeah. In Vilnius.
The
and
beautiful city of Vilnius.
And we talked about the fact that I have no idea about React or React Native or all the React. I'm very unreactive, and but I do like unit testing in TDD, and you like unit testing in TDD, and you also know React. So I thought maybe we could shoot a thing where you can teach me something basically from scratch, because the last time I ever used a JavaScript framework, it was with jQuery. That was maybe 5 years ago.
Oh wow, jQuery.
Yes, so I'm a
remember that.
jQuery person.
Okay.
And I still love jQuery. I mean, it's like it's like my Visual Basic.
It's the basis for everything.
So-
if you don't know jQuery, you don't know anything.
Yeah. So
Just don't use it.
and I tried to learn React. I really did. But when I tried to learn React, there were like 7 different things I had to learn before I could learn React.
Yep.
Like the whole React thing is like, hold on, before you learn React, learn this. But hold on, before you learn React, learn the other. So I basically almost gave up. And I was looking for someone for guidance. So maybe today you can teach me, in the easiest terms. what
Definitely,
works.
and the beauty for me of React is that it's very, 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 very small. You can teach it, in a couple of hours. We'll take more time because we'll delve deeper. But essentially, people have a fear of React or learning React because it comes with all those tools. So what we'll do in the beginning is we will not use those tools. We will teach React hardcore from nothing, and then slowly we'll add more tooling, and for each tooling that we'll add, we'll explain it so that you'll understand how it works in the ecosystem. By the time we're done, you'll say, oh yeah, okay, I hopefully I got it. I understand what Babel is, I understand what Webpack is, I understand what JSX is, but we'll start with just a script source. That's it. HTML, script source, we'll do a little bit of React, and then progress to why people use this tooling.
And the IDE that you recommended for us to use is VS Code, right?
Yes, it's what all the cool people do today, and I've switched like about half a year ago, and never looked back. I used web.
It's so funny. I mean, Microsoft used to be like the non-cool actor.
Amazingly enough, yeah, it's not Visual Studio. Visual Studio, I'm not a huge fan. It's totally different product, very, very small. It's more of an editor than an IDE, but all those plugins that you add to it make it look more and more like an IDE. Amazingly enough, it's written in JavaScript using Chrome. Microsoft is using Chrome. The UI that you're seeing is Chrome basically.
So I went ahead and installed Visual Studio on the Mac here, and Visual Studio Code. I've never used it before. You'll walk me through just even setting up the environment so you can develop that kind of stuff. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
And I'll hopefully be the code monkey and all that stuff. But you'll walk me through. Okay, so maybe what's the best way to even start learning React?
Well, just take an HTML file and just write React code in it.
Okay.
We'll do a script source that brings the React, and then we'll just write a small script that shows a hello world. We have to start with hello world.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so what do I do?
First, let's close this tab. Unclick the show welcome page on startup because
Okay.
we don't need the welcome page. Great, good. And now we want to open up a new project. So create a directory.
I just create the directory here, or do I do it from command line?
No, you'll do it from command line. Do it from
Okay,
command
so let's
line.
go to the command line here.
So this is the directory. We'll be copying a bit of code
Okay,
from time to
So let
time.
me open a new tab here.
Yes.
And let's make a directory called Roy Reacts.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Now what?
Now let's write some. Let's open. You know what? Close Visual Studio Code. This is my preferred way of opening.
Already
Visual.
I'm liking this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you just do code, space dot.
Just code?
Code space dot. Code is Visual Studio Code, and it may probably not work, but let's try it. Yeah. Okay. So open Visual Studio Code
Visual Studio Code.
just once, and do. I'll teach you the most important thing about Visual Studio Code. It's Command Shift P. Command Shift P opens up, like all modern editors today, all the commands. So look for something CLI, I think. Command line, maybe.
Command.
Yes, shell command, install code in path. I love the path thing. Okay, good.
That's it?
Now you can close. Yep. Now you can close.
Just close everything here.
And code space dot, which is open Visual Studio Code with the current directory. Very cool. Why is it opening too? I don't know. Yes, definitely. That's how I open all my projects. I cd to the directory and then code.
Let's see what happens. Why did it open two
I
windows?
have no idea whatsoever.
Oh, I know. We're pair programming.
Then close one of them. I think it's that one.
This is open editors, and this is just
The untitled.
Maybe I just do code without the dot.
Yeah. No. That won't work.
No?
Yep. Okay, so let's create an HTML file.
How?
Right click. No, you can hover over there. No. Oh, there we go. And file. Yep. New file.
Yep.
And hello.html. Yep. Perfect. Now we want to create an HTML file with all the HTML and head and all that. We have Emmet here. Emmet is a wonderful thing.
Emmet?
Emmet. I have no idea what it stands for, but it helps you write HTML in a very simple way.
Okay.
So write a bang and tab.
Oh, Emmet abbreviation.
Yes.
Tab.
Oh, yes.
My God, that's horrible.
Yes.
No, what just happened? Okay.
What happened is this is the Emmet abbreviation for a skeleton, and you've got a skeleton for HTML. Now you want to go down to body. You can tab, I think, there. Okay. Yep. And do div and tab.
Like just div without the...
Just div without.
Div.
Yeah, and tab. There we go. Cool.
Where's my Vim shortcuts?
Oh, well, you can install.
can do
yeah,
that? Okay,
obviously.
cool. Okay,
Every
cool.
editor has to have
Can I
it.
increase the fonts here if I wanted to? Oh, nice.
Yep. It's
It's
just a
already
browse.
becoming pretty nice.
It is.
Okay.
If you okay.
Now what?
No, but we actually don't need the div. We need a script. So write script.
Cruel.
Yeah, sorry.
Just
Script. You see, choose script source. Yes. Now we want to bring in React. Okay. Let's search. On the internet, React CDN, and we'll get
Okay.
a
Let's do a React CDN.
CDN, which is that's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which one should I choose?
You need development. It's always the CGS. No, the
Shouldn't I use
UMD,
production?
UMD. Well, currently we're not really in production mode, and we'll talk about when we get to the
is it
tooling.
minified and stuff? Is
Yeah,
that what you're
yeah,
saying?
and it has
okay.
less warnings and.
I thought it was like beta versus stable. That's
No,
what I
no,
thought
no,
it
no.
was.
It's
Okay.
it's minified, and React development has more, but not CGS, UMD, UMD. CGS is common JS. We'll talk about
Oh,
that
sorry.
in a.
Where do you see CGS and UMD?
Here after the version number 16.1 CGS. CGS is shortcut for common JS, and UMD is universal something.
Okay, which one is better?
The development, yep.
But UMD.
UMD, yes.
So
yes.
why is UMD better?
When we'll get to, I actually don't know why CGS is here, but UMD is when you just want to do script source. UMD is universal. You can use it everywhere.
And CGS you cannot use everywhere?
You can use only when you do require or import. When we do the tooling,
Okay, so this is more universal.
yes, definitely
Interesting.
universal.
UMD. Okay, so I'll just paste it here.
Yep.
Pasted.
Yes. Okay,
Already
we need
my
another,
web development.
unfortunately, we need
skills.
another script source.
Of course. Okay, so
There we go.
script.
Yep.
No,
undo,
of course
yeah.
not. No.
Colon source. Script. Yep. There we go. And we need React DOM. My guess is just change, copy the same one and just do React dash DOM.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Like this, and then React DOM,
Dash DOM. Yes.
like this.
Yes. React comes with two main libraries. React, which is used in React Native and all that. It is agnostic to the platform. Okay, you can use it
I
everywhere.
clicked it and it doesn't work. The link doesn't work.
That's
Let's do a React
the
DOM.
React DOM. Okay, the React DOM CDN.
CDN. Let's see. That doesn't. Maybe this one. Wow.
React DOM.
So many
server.
beautiful
Oh
links.
wow.
Which one?
That one. React DOM, but not CGS.
This one?
No, not server. Not server. Not server. Go down. Go down. Go down. React DOM development. Yes.
And all these other stuff.
I'll tell you why I have no idea. I mean, I've
Yeah.
been using React because people don't usually use that. When we get to the tooling, we'll see there are much better ways
Okay.
of using React. But currently, we're bare metal. We're using.
No, that's important. Okay.
Yep.
This is the React DOM development.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's see. It does look almost the same, but here there's.
React DOM, right?
It's the
right.
version difference. What?
No, I've no idea how the CDN works.
These all look the same.
Yeah, it's twice React DOM.
Oh
twice
yeah.
React.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So now what? Hold on. You were starting to explain.
Okay, React is the
yeah.
platform agnostic. It's used in React Native.
Is it like jQuery?
Nope. It's two different things. React is a library which doesn't care whether you're using it in the browser, on the server, in mobile, on Windows, et cetera. It's platform agnostic, and we'll see why later. But when you want to render something on a platform, for example, I want my components to work in a browser, or I want my components to work on mobile, then you have to have another library, in this case React DOM. React DOM is rendering it onto the DOM, which is the browser.
Okay, so React DOM is when you do web development, basically.
Exactly. So you have React, which is platform agnostic, and React DOM, which are the bindings in a way to the platform, which is web.
Okay.
Okay. Now let's write code. Let's add another script, which will be our code finally.
Okay. So let's just do a script here.
Another script. Yep. Just regular script. Yep. And enter.
And okay.
Yep. Now let's create what is called a React element. Let's create a div.
Just a div.
Yes. So we'll do const.
Should I do just a div here?
No. We want to create
Const.
we want to create a React element. So we'll put it in a variable.
Okay.
Let's call the variable a div or hello or whatever.
My div.
My div equals, and we want to create a React element. So it's React.create element.
React.
Big R. Yep.
React dot.
Create element. And in parentheses, the parameters. The first parameter, as you can see, Visual Studio Code has bindings for React. It understands React, so it knows what the first parameter should be. We're creating a div, so pass it the string div. Yep. Just div, and the second parameter is the text. So let's
Okay.
write hello world.
Yo. World.
Yep. Okay, so we've created a React element. This is not a DOM element.
This is just JavaScript.
Yes. Notice that we're using React here, not React DOM.
Do I have to do like a semicolon?
Yeah, it's up. It's a question of style. The religious wars on semicolons are.
So the answer is yes.
For
that's
me,
what I'm hearing.
it's no. But
What?
I'm not a big.
But this is pure JavaScript, right?
this is pure JavaScript.
so technically I could
not
to make
do,
things more
not
readable.
do.
No, but I could do this and make things more readable and
Add a semicolon.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just wondering.
It's JavaScript.
because that's the better way, right? Just making sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, most of the world is on your side, but
Oh.
about 70-30.
Well, that
according to.
Well, so many people
latest
probably are wrong, I'm sure.
yes. Okay.
Should I probably save, right? I just saved.
Yep. It also saves when you lose focus, or maybe there's a preference for that. Okay, so we've created a React element. That's not a DOM element. It's just a React element. We'll see later what that element is. It's an interesting thing, but we want to render it. Okay, we want to render this element onto a DOM.
Show me, master.
Okay, so we'll call React DOM.render.
React
DOM.
DOM.
No, React DOM. Big D. Exactly. I hope.
That's what she said.
I hope.
Yeah, React DOM dot
render.
Render with a big R.
Small r. It's a function, and we'll send it the element. Pass it the element.
My
div. Yeah, and we have to tell it which element to render into.
Yeah.
So let's create a div first to render that into, and we'll give it an ID.
Yeah. So ID
Equals
equals
root or something. It's usually
amazing div.
called. I prefer, people usually call it root.
What about
Because
the
that
root?
is the whatever.
I just
Or
want to
group.
show people that it can be any name.
Go for it.
How about just Groot?
Groot.
Okay, is that okay?
Yes.
I am
The
Groot.
div is Groot. And just you can't use jQuery. So no. You can't pass the ID. You have to pass the DOM element. So you don't know.
Forgot.
Document
Document.
not dot get element by ID. There we go.
Oh, huh.
Yeah, and pass it Groot.
Just it is double quotes. Groot.
Yep. Now there's no way this is gonna work, but because I'm working through memory, but we'll fix that. We'll fix that. Now you want to open it.
I do.
Okay, so one way of opening it is just opening it via a browser. The other is I'm using extensions. You want to install an extension that just opens.
Let's do both. Let's do through a browser. Right
Okay,
now.
so go back to the command line
Okay.
and do open hello. This is Mac, right? In Windows it'll be I think start.
Hello. LHU.
Yep. See, it doesn't work. Let's open the console.
Oh, I didn't install the console stuff from Google. Let's see.
Command
tool.
Shift I.
Command Shift I. Okay.
That's one of the more important.
Command Shift I.
Ooh.
Oh
Also
my
opens-
God!
No, don't see my emails.
No!
Oh, you'll have to edit it out. Right click. Right click.
No, I have to kill my email stuff now. Oh, jeez. No, I don't know where to have. Okay.
Right click.
Right click.
Inspect.
Inspect.
Yep.
That's what she said.
Okay, now let's go to console up there. Are we seeing all the uncut reference? React DOM is not defined. Maybe DOM, big DOM. I'm guessing it's big DOM. I never
Big
remember
DOM.
these things.
Well, how do you do it if you don't remember it?
Once you go into the tooling, you'll get it for free.
Okay. Oh, that looks much better.
Invalid attribute name 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's interesting. Go back.
Huh? Let's.
0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I know what the problem is. It's the semicolons, I bet.
No way. Let's just copy the code from and we'll see what the problem is.
Copy the code.
Okay,
Where you
React
want
components and props and element rendering, and let's look at it and see.
This one?
Yes.
Let's see.
Okay.
What did we?
Yes. We have to pass. No, sorry. Go back. I'm good.
Okay.
Between the ID and the text, you have to pass the attributes. Yeah, and that's
Where
why.
do I put the ID?
No, in the React create element,
Yeah.
it gets 3 parameters. The element.
Yeah.
No, not the render, the create element.
Okay.
After we run, we'll do a summary
Yeah.
of the whole thing and pass attributes, empty attributes. So just pass the empty object,
Like
curly
this?
braces, curly braces. Yeah.
Like this?
Yep.
That's it?
Yep. And refresh. Oh,
my God.
Yes, your first React program.
Very reactionary. I feel dirty. Okay.
So let's look at it again. So we've brought two in a very unconventional way. Nobody does it. We've brought 2 packages, React and React DOM, using script source. What they did was give us 2 variables, React and React DOM, which we used in our script. We used React.createElement and we used React DOM.render. Okay.
Okay, so we just create an element.
We're creating an element.
I'm just creating an element.
Yeah. And then we're rendering it into groups.
But technically, I could have just created a div here that said your world. I didn't actually have to create this, right?
Yeah, but then you'd not be using React.
That is correct.
We'll start small,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you know, once.
But at some point, you actually have to generate something.
Exactly. So this is how React works. You create your elements, and then you render them, and then you react to events. That's about it.
We have not reacted to anything yet, though.
No, we're just rendering. We'll see slowly by slowly. We'll
Because
get
right
to
now, it's
events.
not as easy as jQuery.
No. It'll take time. But you know, there's no going back.
There's no. Okay.
There's no going back.
Okay.
Okay. Wait.
Yeah, no.
I want to do a console log on my div. This is an important thing. Do a console log between. Just I want to see what this my div is. You know, you're a Java guy. You probably.
I'm not a Java guy.
Oh, I'm sorry. A lot of people think, yeah.
I mean, I am also a Java guy, but
No, just my div. Just my div.
just-
or whatever. A lot of people think, oh yeah, React element is this class with properties, etc., etc. Now refresh, and we'll see it in the console. It's just an object, a JavaScript object. That is it. It defines. You can see here the type, which is div, okay, and the rest aren't important. We'll talk about state and props later. It's just a JavaScript. It's a struct. It's a structure. That is what elements are. Nothing more, nothing less.
They're just data objects.
Just data. No methods, no nothing. Just data objects, and React DOM.render renders it. This is called the elements, and we'll see that later that they'll be in a tree. It's called the virtual DOM. Okay.
Virtual DOM.
So React DOM, what it does is takes the virtual DOM and renders it into a real DOM.
The virtual DOM.
Yes.
DOM. Okay.
Okay, so that's our first program. Now let's
It kind of feels like
nothing.
Not so much.
Yeah, you know, it's like when you start anything.
True.
And I, you know, we can always start from to do MVC and learn how it works.
Okay,
But
let's do the next best thing.
The next best. Yeah. Now I want to tweak it a little bit. Okay, just same program, but let's define a variable called e, which holds React.createElement. Just do it before the myDiv.
Just here.
Yep. Const e.
Why do I have to do it as a const?
Oh,
Why
right.
not
Well,
var?
well, because var is const is the cool var.
Const is cool.
Okay. If you use var, you're uncool anymore.
Well, why is const better?
Well, there's const and there's let. We'll talk about the differences. Const means it's constant. You cannot change it.
Oh, it's like a read-only.
It's an unvariable variable.
It's like a final.
Exactly.
It's like
final,
a read-only,
etc., etc. It's like const in C++.
Oh, so it's immutable.
Exactly.
Okay.
So var means you can change it. Const is me telling whoever's reading it, this will not be changed.
And this goes into stuff that I've already started reading about React. React uses like a new version of JavaScript, ECMAScript or something like that.
Yes, we're talking about what is called ES6, or in its formal name, ECMAScript 2015. Actually, we're up to ECMAScript 2017 today because every year a new version of JavaScript is coming out. Now, Chrome supports ECMAScript, the new version.
Do all the browsers support these
All what is
structures?
called Greenfield, I don't remember. All the browsers that update themselves support it fully, which means Safari, Opera, Chrome, Firefox, and Edge.
What about Internet Explorer?
Well, yeah, well.
What about Internet Explorer?
We will not support Internet Explorer yet.
Thank
we
God.
will talk about transpiling, when we get to the
No,
tool.
let's not do that.
Exactly, but all browsers today fully support ES6, as everybody calls it. Nobody says ES 2015 because it's
So what do they just say? If they don't say
ES6 or ES Next or-
ES6. Dude, I'm an ES6. I just program in ES6, dude.
I can't do ES5 anymore.
Dude,
I mean,
ES5
it's
is so-
So in 2000.
Okay, so const.
So const E, just the letter E, equals, and I'll explain later. Okay, just follow my lead.
and then
React
equals.
React.createElement. Big
React dot.
Create.
Come on. React dot create element.
Yeah, that's it. Simple. What we're doing is we're
That's
just
it?
yeah.
Or do I have to
No. We're not calling it. We're just
Oh, we're just using it.
using it. Yeah. So what I'm doing is React.create E is an alias
Yeah,
for React.createElement.
yeah.
So instead of React.createElement, we'll
just say
just
E
write
dot.
E. Just E.
So did I just replace it?
Yep.
Okay. So just go like this.
Yep. E. There we go. Okay, nicer.
That's kinda nice.
Give it a little spacing, to make it breathe, etc. You can remove the console log. We don't need it anymore. We've seen that React elements are just data.
Data objects.
Okay, so what I've done is nothing basically. I've just renamed, but we'll see later that it makes us. It's nicer writing code like this, and it will lead us slowly into
like this.
into JSX.
JSX.
Okay, same.
JSX?
SX. JavaScript is somewhat of a functional language, so you can treat functions like React.createElement as just values that you can put in and call whatever. React supports. It's
Okay.
just JavaScript.
Okay.
And if you run it, it'll be the same.
I think we need a test for this at some point.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely test this, but
Okay.
not right now. Just a little bit.
We don't have
more.
any logic yet, anyway.
Yeah, but we're going to test the components, not only the logic. Logic is important, but the components are equally or as important. So we've done a div. That's not very interesting. Let's do something more complex. Usually HTML is hierarchical. So let's do a div with 3 spans.
A div with 3 spans.
Yes.
Okay, so what should I do?
Okay, so
Let's do like, I'll just use this. Like, I'll just go and say, haha, like my span 1.
you know what?
No?
I'm with you. I'm with you. Hey,
Is that what you're going for?
I love independence from my
SP1. I don't know. Is it
students.
good?
I'm good.
Okay, let's see. So I could just use EE and then span 2 and 3.
Span 3.
Am I doing this right?
Yes.
But I still have to put them inside the div.
Yeah. So go to the my div.
Yeah?
Copy it after the spans because we'll need to use the spans.
Is there a shortcut in VS Code to
X.
just copy
Command X.
just the entire line?
Yep.
Oh, I like Visual Studio. Okay.
For all the editors. And instead of your world, we want an array.
So how do you just like this?
Yep. Without you did 2 somehow.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
Sometimes Visual Studio inserts and span 1, span 2, span 3. Yep. Perfectum. And hopefully this will work.
Okay.
Oh yes, it
That's
did.
amazing. Wait, there's like a warning.
Yeah. We'll talk about that later. Well, this is advanced stuff, but this is good. This is good.
Okay, that's good.
Okay. Cool. So we've learned that an element can have children.
It's basically HTML.
Yes, but virtual HTML. Okay.
It's basically an HTML object model.
Exactly. It's an object model for an object model because DOM is document object model. So it's
It's an abstraction
it's
of an
an-
abstraction.
Exactly. And this will be this React element tree will be used in React Native and React Windows and whatever platform React runs on.
Okay.
This is the part that is independent of the platform. Okay, so I've just created a tree where there's
But the
a div.
rendering is the part that's
The
not
rendering
independent.
that is
That's the only-
platform dependent.
So everything here, I can technically use iOS or Android or whatever.
exactly.
I'll just render it.
Yes,
That's
you
it?
won't be using span. You'll be using view and text element, things that that work in mobile. Okay.
Oh, I
but
thought it
it's
was
the
supposed to
same.
be like an abstraction. So can't I use like view and all that stuff here in HTML?
Yes, there's an interesting project that takes those React Native elements and creates a React DOM thing or whatever. I'm not entirely sure that uses those, but renders them really into div and span and all that.
So if I'm understanding correctly, I thought that the major like factor of React is that you write once, run many.
Not exactly. React is write 80% once.
Yeah, but
write
let's say
20%.
But this code, for example, if I wanted to have like an object on the screen that looks like a ball, like a game, would I be able to use the same or like kind of code that kind of looks like this in every device? The same piece of code,
No, it won't be the same piece of code. The view code.
except the view code. I'm talking about specifically the stuff that like the spans and divs. That wouldn't make sense for a ball, right? But in HTML, would you do it one way, and then in iOS, would you do it another way?
Exactly. But the event handling and the logic and all that, that's 80%.
Okay.
The view is usually the tip of the iceberg. You'll need to duplicate that code. But the 80% will be platform agnostic.
Interesting. So all the event handling and all that stuff, but you'll just have different abstractions for how you show something.
Exactly. So write most ones, run your project everywhere.
Okay.
React. That's the React philosophy, and it usually works. People are pretty. I haven't used it. Maybe we can learn together.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Okay. So we've created the tree and we're good. But now I wanna change the tree a bit because we're going into the canonical React example. The canonical React example, I think Dan Abramov used it first, but I'm not sure. It's the counter. Okay?
Counter.
Yes, the counter where you have a plus and a minus, and when you plus, the counter increases, and when you the
It
counter.
sounds like exactly the thing I would like to do now.
Yes. So let's change the span to the first and the last span to div or button. Let's do button.
What? Oh,
Button.
you want to change this to
The span to button. Yep, and the other span to button. And we'll do ink. Let's call it ink. That's the ink button. Yep, and deck. Can you undo those two things? Yeah. Now remember, those are variables. They're used elsewhere.
Yeah, I have
so
to rename.
Do
oh,
F2.
There's a
Do an F2.
An F2. I probably have to do like a function here or something.
Maybe.
Probably. Yeah.
A function.
Yeah. Nope.
Oh. Right. That's
About,
interesting.
mm,
No, just.
No, let me try it in F2 and. Nope.
No shift, no nothing, right?
No.
Okay, right click.
I'm sure there's a kind of.
Right click and change all occurrences. Oh, Command F2.
It's Command F2. I told you.
I use F2. Maybe.
Hold on. Command F2. No, Command function F2.
Okay.
That's how it works. Okay.
Okay. And
What's in? Do it in
deck button. This is deck button.
deck BT.
Yep.
That's just enter
And
or escape maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. And inc BT.
Yep.
Is this naming convention like everything lowercase? Is that okay?
Usually, I tend to my names to be full names like ink button with a big B. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
With a big B.
Of course. Joystick. Button.
And let's call that the counter. The span 2, it should be a counter.
Is it counter span?
Whatever. Yeah. Yep. So instead of SP2, just write 0. And instead of SP1, write, I don't know, plus or
minus.
Or minus, yeah, right. And plus. Let's try it out.
I bet there's a way to put like a default value here without hard coding 0.
There we go.
Oh my god. This is like my first Visual Basic
Yeah.
program.
No, it doesn't work, obviously. We're not yet into AI.
But it feels like
it feels like
my
it's
first GeoCDs.
Oh, yeah.
GeoCDs
Well, we can add a blink.
Okay, now what?
Okay, no.
Let's react.
No. We have time for that. We have time. Don't worry. We'll get there. We'll get there. Okay, so
what do we do now?
look at this. You know, the minus and the 0 and the plus. That looks like a component to me. And React has a component architecture, and we've not talked about components yet. We've just created divs and spans and buttons and whatnot. Let's create a component.
Why should we create a component?
Because React's architecture and the way React encourages you to work is by building small components and then bigger components that are created from those small components, etc., until your whole app is basically one big component composed out of smaller components and even smaller components, etc. You build those components that are usually reusable, and you want them to be reusable, for example, this counter, and you build your application out of those components, and the application itself is a component. There's even this thing called Storybook, which lets you build a library of components and enables you to show them in various states and everything so that people can reuse them very easily.
So component is mostly for maintainability or readability or...
Yes, but the whole architecture is built around components. You could theoretically build just one big component, but nobody does that.
Okay, so if we wanted to add the counter to actually make it work with the clicks and stuff, the best way to do it is through a component, or should we, or we can even do it without?
No, we'll have to start with a component.
Okay.
We'll have to start with a component, but we'll see now that a component is the simplest thing.
Okay.
A component, I will tell you what a component is in React, because in React everything is very, very simple. A component is a function that returns a React element. I would like you to repeat that.
A component is a function that returns a React element.
That's it. There's no wishy-washy
Component
stuff
is a function
that returns a React element. We'll see that there's another way to write a React component, but let's start with that.
Kind of like a jQuery. Everything is a function that returns an element, a jQuery
Exactly,
element.
but this time you're writing the... So let's write a function.
Okay.
So build a function. Let's call it counter.
Okay. So
On the top there, after the React create element. No, in the script.
where?
After the first line.
Before?
After we need the E.
Okay.
We need the nice.
Okay. So what should I write here?
E.
Function.
Yes, and then so it'll be nice.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Function.
Tab.
And let's space, and let's call it space, and let's call it counter with a big C, because it's customary to have component names be with a big C. You don't have to. And it's a function that doesn't accept any parameters.
So just like this.
And it embraces JavaScript function, regular JavaScript function. Nothing very surprising. Now copy the whole code with the mydiv.
Oh.
Yep. This is our code.
This.
Yep.
And I'm going to return the mydiv.
Exactly, because
Okay.
mydiv is
React
element, and a component is a function that returns a React element.
React element.
So we're doing exactly that.
Return mydiv.
Yep. Exactly. So we've just created a component, a counter component. That's it. Okay, it's as simple as that. That's the beauty of JavaScript.
It's just building a bunch of stuff together and then returning it.
Yeah, we'll see. We're not finished with React. We have a few more steps to go before we see the power of React. But the power, just like you build an app with simple components and then build larger, React is some small set of very, very simple building blocks which you can create amazing things out of.
Okay.
So a component, a function that returns an element is exactly that. It's very simple, and we'll see that it has very wide implications. Okay? So now let's use it. Let's go to the React DOM.render. We want to render it.
Oh
right?
yeah, actually yeah, this doesn't work.
Exactly. No more my div.
So I just say counter.
Nope. Theoretically, you could. I mean,
could
if you
technically
call
write this,
counter,
right? Like this.
it'll work. Right?
Let's see.
Perfect.
Perfecto.
There we
That's
go.
Check the top level render code.
True. Don't worry about
No?
that. We're not doing canonical React.
Not
So
canonical.
we'll be getting
It's not the
warnings.
canonical, come on.
We'll be getting
Yeah,
warnings. But we're not. This is not the right way, because
Yeah, I'm just cleaning up.
yep. Instead of counter, do counter, and I'll explain.
Create element counter. That's what you're saying.
Yes. E.
No. E
Yes.
dot.
No. E and parentheses counter, without calling it. No. Without calling it. No, that's it. Remember when you do div, it creates a div, and when you do span,
Yeah, because
it creates a
an element.
span. So if you do counter, it creates an element from the element that this
But hold
function
on. But
returns.
here we gave it a string.
Yes. If you give it a string, it creates the DOM element. Well, once you render it.
But if you give it a function,
it will call that function lazily afterwards.
only when it needs to.
Only when it needs.
Will
only
it
when-
call it multiple times or will it cache the output?
It will call it multiple times, and we'll see when. Currently, it's calling it just once, right? But when we get to event handling and blah 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 blah, we will see that.
Let's
it will
rename
call it.
I don't like E then because
Well-
it's too
Not a problem.
my programmer brain.
Okay.
What if
You want
we
to call element?
let's call it render?
No, because you're not rendering. You're not.
How about creator? Create.
Hey,
How create?
create.
Is that okay?
Yep. Okay.
Okay. So,
So-
render create a type of counter basically.
Exactly, the component counter. And what
Create
React and
component.
React DOM will do in the background when we do the render is it will call counter. It will.
So just to make it more readable for me, I'm gonna say that can I rename this to, let's say, counter func,
A preferable component, because it is a component.
but it's still a function.
Yes, but one will have multiple ways of creating components, but it will be still the same component. So what the customary thing is to call it counter component.
Even though it
Even-
is just a function.
Exactly,
technically
because a
this still
component
applies.
is just a function. That's a beauty.
So let me just I just want to render it, see that everything is okay. I want to see check the render method of counter. Oh.
No.
Well, why did it say counter here when I said counter func?
Because you didn't save, said Gil. Yes, one unsaved. There we go.
No. Counter func.
It's because we don't have a unique key prop on the
Okay,
children.
Okay,
We'll get
we're
there.
not
Don't
there.
worry. We'll get
So
there.
here,
We'll explain key.
I just want to React DOM render and create whatever that function creates.
Exactly.
But if we just rename that to counter what element
Component.
component,
Yep.
then it will create basically that div with all these specs in there.
Yes.
Okay, sounds good.
And render them into real DOM.
Render because it's
In the
a
end.
React DOM.
Exactly. In the end. Yep. yes.
Interesting.
So React-
technically, could I just do this if I select all this just to create a counter component, and I take this and call it the counter, and I say const the counter equals this.
Yes, but small o. Yes.
What? Where?
Per programming. The counter.
The counter.
The counter. Yes.
Is it the same thing?
Well, tell me. This is JavaScript.
Yeah.
Remember? Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, what's the difference? It's just JavaScript.
So-
We're not learning a new language here. Remember?
So all I'm wondering
this is important.
what's the point of this versus this.
We'll see.
Of the creation of
We'll see.
the creation of calling the function versus the function.
What I like about you is that you are very impatient. No, these are excellent questions because in this toy program, you're right. We'll see later that it has.
Okay. Let me undo. Undo. The reason I'm asking all these things in the middle is because I really want to understand how it works.
These are great questions, but I'll have to defer them to later. Okay. You know what?
That's good.
Wait. Let's. You know what? Let's do something nice. Let's do something nice. Okay.
Sure.
Let's create another component. Let's create a new function.
A new function.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's call it two components. Big T, big T, big C. Yes. Okay. Now we'll create a div.
Just like I did before.
Just like the div. Yeah. Let's do it in a nicer manner. Just do return. I want to do it shorthand.
Yeah.
Return. Create. Right. Create. Remember, and we'll create a div.
Yeah. Div.
And with no
empty
properties. Yes. And an array with two components. So create counter component.
Create of
counter component. And another array, create counter component.
Another array element.
An array element,
Create.
yes, thank you. Counter component.
Counter component.
Yes. Okay, and instead of creating in the render, instead of creating a counter component, let's create two components. I like that. Okay.
Nice.
What do you think will happen? Well, should happen.
Horrible. This is the worst counter I've ever created.
Don't
Each
worry
child.
about the warnings. We'll get there.
Okay.
We will have
So-
applications without warnings. Don't worry.
Functionally, the tests are failing, which is good. Fail first. Okay. So
Okay.
now I understand.
So now we've created an app. Two components is an app created of simpler components.
Cool.
Okay.
And I can do this. Right?
Yep.
You.
Okay.
Sure.
Perfect.
Perfecto.
Now
Yes.
we're going to create props for our component.
We're gonna create what?
Props.
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 Like we're gonna give them props. Like good job.
Yeah, but properties. They're called
Properties.
props usually. But
Why do we need to create those properties?
let's see. Let's talk about the zero value.
0.
Yes, I want to give an initial value. I want to give it a value. I want to say create counter with a value of 5.
Oh, you want it to have like a default value
Yes.
instead of hard coding 0.
Yes.
Where's the 0? Here. So
Exactly.
we don't want to use 0. We just
No.
want to have a.
Right.
Okay, sure.
So let's go to the counter component. What is a props? It's just an object passed to the function. That's it. So
another data object.
exactly. So let's call it props.
Where?
Parameter for counter component.
What?
Go to function counter component
Yeah.
and add a parameter called props. You can call it props for all I care, but traditionally it's called props.
Oh, so this is just a name. Like if I say my props, it doesn't matter.
Yep. You want my props. I get the vibe.
I want to
vibe.
see what's required and what's optional.
I love the way you think. Let's my props.
Just my
it all.
props and that's
Yes,
it?
Yes.
Do I have to give it a name, right?
That's the name. No, we're not static.
That's right. Yeah.
We're dynamic here. Just the name.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
And it's an object. It's always an object. Maybe it can be an integer, but I don't think so. I mean, it can be a value, a regular value, but usually it's an object. Okay.
Okay.
Well, let's say that the object will have a property called let's call it a field called value. Okay.
How do we say that?
No, we'll just use it.
We
So
assume.
instead of the 0, we'll call my props.value.
My
Props.value. Now, technically, it's
Like
a
this?
number, right? So we should do toString. .toString, but it's JavaScript.
This?
It'll work without toString.
It's JavaScript.
Yeah, it'll work without toString,
But
but this is the right way.
This is the right way.
Definitely.
Okay, but I now have
No
to call
surprise.
it.
Now, no, you don't call it. Remember, it's properties. Remember how create you pass a prop? The second parameter are the properties. Just like div has a property. Remember the empty props there?
Yeah.
Let's send the value.
Here.
Nope, no. This is for the div.
Oh yeah.
Okay?
But here.
Yeah. For example, this span, if we want to add an ID to the span,
Yeah.
or a class, we add ID colon.
Like this
Yep.
equals.
Colon. This is JavaScript, right?
So ID
And
counter span.
yeah, but
But I'm gonna have two of these. So
right.
it's not gonna work,
It's not a good.
Let's just call it like
Class.
CSS, like
A
class. Yeah.
class it should be class name. It's a
complicated?
It's complicated because you're not allowed to use class. Class is a reserved word. So
Like this?
Yes, counter, but it has to be a string.
Okay, but this is again not important to our discussion. This is just a way to pass. Props.
This is a way to pass props to the span, right?
But now I can do it for create.
But you
too.
can exactly. So pass
So I can say
value
here like this.
value colon 5
Value
0.
0. Well, I'm just
Right.
gonna do 1.
Okay, and for the other one, pass another value.
Cool. So like this value.
42.
What's about?
The answer to life, the universe,
Yeah,
and
I know.
everything. Yeah.
It's just it's quaint.
17.
43. We'll show them.
Okay, we'll show them.
Okay, let's see.
Oh my God, it works.
Oh,
So we've just created a component that, for all intents and purposes, is just like div. Div, you pass properties like ID and class name and whatever. Okay, width and whatever, and a component you pass properties, but you can use them whichever way you like. Very simple.
okay. I'm starting to see where this is going. Kind
Okay.
of.
So you're already seeing how we've creating a component that is reusable, and you can pass properties to that component to make it behave and look differently.
How does it? I mean, how do I even like? It doesn't work yet, though.
No, it doesn't work.
Let's make it work.
Let's make it work.
Okay.
I think that's a really, really good idea. Before we get into tooling, I think that's a really good
Yeah.
idea because
we have to
afterwards,
understand it.
because
Then later we can.
yeah, we'll do the tooling. Now, this is not the canonical way because you need state and everything to recreate a really good counter component. We'll do it hackish. But what I like about hackish is that it really shows you how things work.
Yeah.
Okay? So let's hackish.
So this is not going to be the recommended way. It's just a way to understand
Yes.
how some events are kind of mapped
Yes,
together.
if
Right?
somebody says afterwards, Roy and Gil told me to do it this way.
This is a horrible way.
This is a horrible.
But it's a good way to learn.
Yes, exactly. Don't try this at home.
Oh
please.
no! Try this at home.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't try this at work.
Exactly.
Okay.
True. Okay. So let's create.
Well, try this at work. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Let's. I have a problem here because we have now two components. Okay. So let's have.
Do we still need just one?
Let's go back to one component.
I'm gonna cut. But okay, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna cut this. I'm gonna just create
a component. Yeah.
counter component with
value colon 1.
valued comma
Right.
0. I just want
0. Okay.
I
Now
just want a 0.
let's create
I just want to save it. Okay.
Right.
Got it.
Okay. Now let's create what is called state.
State.
State is things that change, values that change, values of the application that changes.
Okay,
For
sure.
example, the state of a to-do application is the list of to-dos. Okay, and the state of a counter application is the value. That's the only thing that changes. So let's create a variable.
I just want to. It bothers me.
I'm good.
Okay, so now what? What do we do?
Let's create a variable which holds the state.
Where do we create it?
After just before the React DOM, you know what? Here on the top, we'll
Before or after?
you know what? After a counter component. That's important.
What do we?
After the counter component,
Oh, okay.
we'll create a variable. How do we create a variable? We can't use const because we want to change it.
Yeah.
So let's do let. Let is just like var. You can change it, but the scoping is different. We'll maybe talk about that
better,
later.
okay.
It's better. It's better. Variable. You don't know. You may not know it, but the scope of a variable is not the block.
global.
It's the function. Let is the block. Let is just like other languages, basically.
Okay.
Okay. The ES6 was used to fix lots of JavaScript.
All the bad
gotchas.
parts.
All the bad parts. Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. They're still there, but don't use them. So don't use vars anymore. Only let and const.
So ES6 is really like an extra layer of JavaScript that will with a better API.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay. So let's call it counter value, and we'll initialize it to 0. And instead of passing value colon 0, we'll do value counter value. Perfect. Okay? Same. We haven't changed anything,
Same thing.
right? Now let's create two functions. One that increments the value and the other that decrements the value.
Function incur. Like this?
Yeah.
And function.
Yep.
Okay.
And how do you increment counter value?
Oh, let me think about this for a second.
Yeah.
Value plus.
There we go.
Counter value. Like this?
Exactly. Now, when do we want to call them?
When the buttons are clicked.
Yes. So, how do we use an event on on a button?
On click.
On click, exactly. Where is it? As a property, right?
So you go here.
Go here and you write on click equals incr. And you put in a big C, and that's true. In JavaScript, it should be little c. In HTML, when you write, you write little c. In React, you have to write big C.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So in here, I'll just say on click equals.
Actually, this should be inc.
That's correct.
Yep.
You see, pair programming.
Pair programming, it always works. Or write tests.
That's in pairs.
Exactly. The test,
Okay.
The test in a way
So
is
that's
your-
it.
Yeah, and it won't work. Let's
wanna
try it.
see.
Maybe it'll work.
I want to see.
Maybe it will work. I don't think
Refresh.
so. Right. Oh well, that's just
Download
invalid
React DevTools
shorthand.
for better development experience.
Invalid shorthand property initializer. Oh wow, cool. Go back to Visual Studio Code. It'll probably show an error. It doesn't.
It doesn't say which line.
Oh right, I can see it.
It says in line 18.
Right, and I can see it.
There it is.
Yeah, you did an equal, not a colon.
Well, okay. Let's see.
There we go. Much better. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Now plus. Okay. Now can you go to the console?
I could.
Yeah. And check what the value of close the what's new.
The value of.
Do console.log of console value. Oh, I'm not sure you can see it. Let's try.
Of what?
Console value.
Counter value.
A counter value, sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it's
Because
not
it's a
public.
let. Yeah.
-1.
Oh yeah, it's working.
Magnified,
Yeah,
no.
no, it's
It's
working.
only fine.
No, it's working. It's working. Do a plus.
No,
plus.
it isn't.
Yes, it is. Plus. Now do a console log again.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, but we still haven't bound that state.
It's working. Perfect. You want it? Look, the on-click work.
Technically,
Right?
you're correct.
Yes, it works.
Yes.
The problem is the user doesn't perceive
As they
it
say,
as
the
one.
unit tests are passing, but the
Exactly.
functional tests are failing.
Exactly. Why? Because you've just changed the value of. Nobody told anybody to re-render the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So in the inker, let's just brutally copy paste the React DOM.render.
No.
Yes,
Like this.
brutally render.
Brutal.
This is brutal.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
Refresh.
Oh my god!
Oh man.
Yeah.
Does it go all the way to 255?
To go do minus. See?
That's amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
never have I been so excited.
What is
Well,
the
I
problem
remember,
here?
You know, something seems to be off.
Amazingly, lots and lots of problems. For example, there can be only one component because there's only one state. We'll talk later about how each component can have its own state.
No,
Okay.
no, hold on. Where does this fact that there... Hold on, where are you coming from? There could be only one component. I don't understand that.
How many states? How many counter values do we have? Variables.
One.
So if we want two counter components,
Oh, you mean we have shared states?
yes,
Okay, understood.
yes.
Okay, but
Now
that's...
there are ways to solve it without state.
Uh-huh.
But
Can't we just now put counter value as part of the... Like, okay, so what do? So we definitely don't want shared state.
I can continue hacking this.
But
I
there's
will.
a better way?
Yes. Components can have their own state, and we'll talk about that later.
Okay, so
Okay.
this is not the way.
Oh no.
Is there a way for me to just trigger render without doing this?
Yes, when we'll talk about state, when a component changes its own state, then what will happen? It will automatically re-render it in its all its changes.
And can we get there from here right now,
No.
or is this
No,
So
no.
so what's missing from where we are right now to get to the point where we can actually use state that automatically changes?
Taking that function and turning it into a class component.
Is that something we can do now?
Yeah. You want to? I'll you know what? Well, why not?
Okay.
Okay.
Because I feel like right now we're not actually using React. We're just kind of hacking it.
Okay. Let's do.
We haven't actually used reacting.
Let's go
It's not
there.
actually reacting.
Let's go there. Let's go there.
Okay. I'm just making sure this doesn't work anymore. So what's the best way to
So
do this?
now, a function. Remember, a React component is a function that returns an element, right? A React element, but it's a stateless function. It can't have state, its own state. We've
We're
hacked
talking
it.
about this function here.
Yes. So to have its own state, we need to turn it into an object, into a class.
Okay.
Okay. So instead of function, create a new class.
Right here?
No, below, because we need the create thing. No, above counter component. Yeah, there we go. Now create a class, counter component. Yes. Big C. Just like in all the regular languages.
Counter component.
Counter component, right. We'll kill the function later, okay? Oh, no, it has to extends.
How do you extend?
Extends. React.component. Now, component, yeah, exactly. No, exactly. Now, class is an ES6 feature.
Oh, okay. It's
Yes.
not part of JavaScript.
It is.
It is.
JavaScript.
It does have classes.
Yes. No. No. Wait. ES6 is just the next version of JavaScript after ES5.
Yeah.
Why is it called ES, by the way? Not JS?
ECMAScript.
Yes, because JavaScript is a specific implementation of ECMAScript. ECMAScript is a standard. It was back in the days when Sun had the trademark for the word Java. So nobody was allowed to use the word Java. So the standard had to be called ECMAScript. ECMA is the European something.
Oh, so because of Sun,
Exactly.
someone was not allowed to use the word Java.
Yes.
Thank you.
So we're,
Thanks, Larry.
So everybody calls the language JavaScript, but the standard is ECMAScript.
Thanks, Larry.
That's it.
Okay.
Okay. So we need. Let's turn the counter component just as it is. So let's create a function render. A method. No, without a function. A method render. Just render. Exactly.
With R?
No, small r. It's important because React will be calling this function. And just copy the function counter component code. Yep. Now you can kill the counter component function.
So is this like an override to the class?
This is a different way. Right now we've done nothing. It's exactly the same. So a class, what will happen is React will instantiate that class and call its render.
So this is
function.
going to work exactly
Exactly the same.
Nope.
Well, that's just a small bug.
Let's see. So what was the
Go to console on the top.
where here?
Nope. This one. Yes.
Uncaught
My
reference.
props is not defined. Oh, right. So
Okay.
we're using my props.
My props.
So go back to 0. Just for the
Yeah, just for the demo.
yeah.
Where did I like this?
Right.
0.
Right. We're not talking about props.
Yeah,
In a
we're
second
just
we'll
trying to
we'll
move
do
there.
props.
Yeah.
There
Okay.
we go. Okay.
Okay, cool.
Plus and minus won't work.
So
because
we
we're-
went from a function to a render function in a class,
Yes.
but and extended from React.component.
Yes. Now let's put back props.
Okay.
Okay. Props are passed via this dot props. Okay. So instead of my props, undo whatever you did with the 0. You do this dot my props. Now, who gives us this dot my props? React will set us the props just before calling render.
But is it props or my props? Does it have to be now?
Oh, this has to be called props.
Now it has to be called props.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, so this is where
You
it
got
has to be. Now I
It
cannot. just
has
use
to
my
be props because this is a property that React sets
Okay,
just
so this is a
before
naming
render.
convention, basically.
This is now not a naming convention. This is part of the spec of React.
Yeah, which is the naming convention.
Yes. That's why the naming convention of functions is. So this is exactly the same. Now the
Let's see if
whole
that
thing
works.
will works with the plus and the minus. I think so.
Let's see.
No.
But we still have because we're not binding anything yet.
No, it should work.
How do I
Go
do the
back.
console log?
Go back to the code.
Because we don't have the on click here or anything.
Yeah, we do.
But this will it's because these are defined after.
Oh, we're not calling React DOM.render again.
Oh, you think that's the only thing?
Yes. You can do console log in the console to just check the counter value.
Okay. Brute force. I am brute.
Yeah. Oh yes. This and we'll lose that horrible
Yes.
way in like 10 minutes.
Okay, so what I don't understand now is
Okay.
this code is relating on the on click.
Right.
How
So
does this class know that on click
it doesn't.
that inker exists?
The only thing React does when it perceives that there's a click here is it calls the function that was passed in via the onClick. That's what it does. Nothing more, nothing less. React is not.
Yeah, but how do I actually have access to this function if it's outside the scope of
Because
the
it's
class?
JavaScript.
Uh-huh.
It's a
So
global
everything
function.
is open.
It's a global function,
Okay.
right?
Mm.
So no
Okay.
problem. You could do this in
And since
C#
this is only
probably.
called after everything has already been loaded, then these are already in the memory.
Yep.
Okay, I understand.
Oh, and function is hoisted.
Hoisted?
Hoisted, yes. When you
Hoisted?
use a function, it's hoisted to the top of the script. So
Why do you use the word hoisted?
that's the standard word of describing what it does. Hoisting means
it pulled on
taking
top
a
of the
variable
stack?
or
Put it on the stack or
and
something?
putting it on the top of the module. It's as if it was defined on the top.
So hoisting is like a technical term.
Yes. I think
Hoisting.
Python has exactly the same
It kind of
semantics.
sounds like Yiddish. Okay.
Yeah, and it's hoisting.
Hoisting.
Hoisting. Yeah. Okay. So, but this is
No, we
horrible.
don't like
Now,
this.
yeah, exactly. Remove it because obviously nobody does that.
Ikke there. Okay. That was
Right.
Norwegian.
Now go. Now it's time for state. Local state.
State.
So we need to initialize our state first. Okay? So we do it with the constructor. Where do we initialize stuff? Constructor.
Okay.
And in ES6 constructor, you just write constructor. Exactly. And
And
yes.
and then what?
And then you call this dot state equals
State?
yes.
There's a thing called state?
Yes.
It's not props.
It's not props. There's props and states, and state and props equals, and an object. Value colon.
What?
Yeah, an object with a field called value, and let's initialize it with 0. Okay. Perfect. Now instead of props, let's use state.
So what are props good for then?
Oh, we'll talk about that later. In this case, not a lot.
Like
In this
this?
case, yes. Okay.
Let's see if it works.
Well, yeah,
What?
I'm not that. No, it won't work. Don't worry. We'll get there. It will show 0.
I want to
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Nope.
No. Must call. Oh, right. True.
What are you looking for?
Must call super constructor.
Where do you see that?
There we
The
go.
must call.
Call super constructor.
Super.
Yes.
So just super?
Supers. Yes.
Before or after?
Before. It has to be the first.
Super,
It's like
this?
It's like this. Calling
Yeah, I know
in
what
Java.
super is.
Yes.
But now? Okay, cool.
Okay. But in the increment and the decrement, we need to increment and decrement the state.
I just call it inker and dicker.
Yes, but now it's not global functions anymore. Come
So
on,
what do I
we
do?
can't.
Do I
we'll-
just do it at the class level? Do I just move them?
Yes.
And do I just move this too?
No, we're done with that, with the global variable.
But if I do, like,
Yes.
but I put them here, inside.
Inside.
Why doesn't it work? Oh, because I'm not inside the class. Let me put it inside here.
Exactly. Without the word function.
Oh, what did I just do? Just without the word?
Yes. It's like
Inker
like
and dicker.
regular classes. If you Command Shift P,
Yeah.
format. There we go.
Nice. And I don't need you anymore.
Yes, it's still not working. Don't worry.
I know. 'Cause
Okay,
there's no
now,
counter value.
You are not theoretically you could do this dot state dot counter value plus,
Theoretically.
but you don't. You never change the state in React. Never.
Okay.
You do this dot set state
Why?
because React is responsible for state.
Okay, cool.
Value in
This?
object.
What?
This you need to give it an
Oh.
object. So give it an object. Value colon. What do you want? You want to
This
increment
state dot-
this dot state dot value plus 1.
That value.
No, plus 1. Right? This is somewhat why people think of React as a functional thing. You're never changing the state
Because it's
directly.
immutable.
Exactly. Well, it is mutable, but React takes care of that.
But you treat it like it's immutable.
Exactly.
No, that's not it. I mean, like this.
Right.
Is this more readable?
Yep.
I don't know if it's more readable or not.
Okay.
-1.
Yep.
And if you had more, you just do like this.
Yes. And it will change only the values that you give. So if you have a state with like 10 field, it
so
will
you can
change
just
only
override
that.
the stuff you care about.
Exactly.
Exactly. That's pretty cool. Okay, now what? Will it just work? But
No,
because there's no
no,
on click.
No.
There's just inker.
Well, exactly. It should be this nikuda, this dot decker, and this dot inker.
Okay. No. This.
And unfortunately, this won't work either.
Of course not.
Because this
Because
is
life isn't so nice.
well, not because of that. Counter value is not defined. Line 55.
Oh.
Right.
Of course.
Yeah, we don't need props in. We're not using props because we're
We don't need
we don't
props.
need
Should be like
props,
this.
so it should be an empty thing.
I can remove it, right?
No, you have to pass it. Oh, yeah. You can remove it. Yeah, sorry.
But I can do either.
Yep.
Let's see.
It won't work. Yeah.
Wow.
Obviously.
Of
I'll
course.
explain.
Obviously.
I'll explain. Now we come to one of the most difficult. Unfortunately, React exposes us.
Don't scare me.
Unfortunately, React.
Just say now we come to the most beautiful and easiest things in React.
React exposes us to the ugliest part of JavaScript. I have a hashtag which I love to use, which is hashtag deprecate this. I'm not a big fan of this, and I'm not a big fan of OOP. But React is React components are OOP artifacts. Okay, so we need to use them in the OOP way. We have to use this. And where's the problem? Okay, I'll explain. When we do onClick, okay, we're passing it a function, right? Mm-hmm. The function is this dot decker, right? It's just a function. Once we pass it to JavaScript, to React, it loses the this. So when React calls it, the this will be undefined. It will call inker, but this will be undefined.
So what do we do?
Now there's a whole way of dealing with this problem. Like there are 10 ways of dealing with this problem. We'll choose one.
Okay.
The way we'll choose.
But basically, the problem, just so I understand it, is that we have to pass the current object, the basically the component itself, so that the inker and dicker can actually see it.
Exactly. Because unlike, for example, Python, when you pass something dot something, what is passed is the function and the object.
So let me guess some of the ways, and you tell me if I'm even in the right direction. If you have like a this object at the class level that you declare, and you say in the constructor this equals this or something, and then you use it, will that work?
No, that I know what you're talking about, but no,
No?
that won't work. No,
Interesting.
No,
Okay.
No.
Okay, so
What we will do is we will create a function that binds the this, that uses the this we want.
am I
We
using
will
the this?
bind. No, I'll explain it differently. We will use bind. JavaScript has a bind function that binds the both of them together. Okay, so let's go to this dot decker in the on click.
Okay.
Okay, and this dot decker is a function, right? A function in JavaScript has its own methods. One of the methods is bind. So let's call dot bind.
Just like here?
Yes. And we'll pass it whatever we want to bind it with. We want to bind it with this. Yes, I know. It's.
That's it?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to do the same here. Bind this.
Yes.
It's a relic of
what we're
JavaScript,
saying.
of old.
Yes. Unfortunately, it's one of the more interesting. I'll be gentle. It's one of the more interesting pieces of JavaScript. What we're trying to do is we're taking this dot incr, which is just a function, and we're binding it to this. The whole bind thing creates another function.
But you're only so during a click, you're just binding it during click. You're not actually invoking it.
Exactly.
So
bind returns a function, but that function, when you call it, will do the right thing.
So you're calling the result of bind.
Exactly.
So should I be doing this?
No, if you
end?
do this, that's not good, because then you'll be calling it.
Oh, so you're saying on click, I wanted to invoke whatever this whole thing returns.
Exactly. JavaScript is a functional language. It uses the whole idea of functions returning functions lots and lots
Okay,
and
so
lots
this
of
is
times.
just, you said this is like one of 10 ways.
But if you don't really have to understand it totally.
No, but let's say I
This
wanted
is
to,
one of the
if I wanted to
canonical.
Google like the multiple ways of doing this,
This would be
what do I even Google for to find all these ways?
React event handling. My guess is
React
event handling. This.
sending this.
Yes. For example, handling events. Yes. By arrow function.
Which
That's
ones are
second
the
one.
good ones here?
This is one of the better ones.
No, but I mean, which link here gives all the options?
I'm guessing that this. I'm not sure. I'm not
This, like this, or
Th-
that,
this
this?
page. This page.
It's like a
Yeah.
funny because if we were talking about this.
See this dot handle dot click.
Where? Yeah.
This is using the third method. It's a variant of
Okay,
this
but
method.
what I'm
I don't
saying
want to
is
get
that
into
people
it
might
because
want to
we
look
will
here.
we will go into a rabbit hole here.
Yeah, I'm just
I
saying.
want to devote
if you wanted to learn something, this is like what you can do.
and we will talk about the different ways.
Yeah,
we will.
I'm just giving people who are watching the video an option of to look stuff for themselves.
Exactly. Currently, let's talk about this as voodoo. If you want to pass this dot decker, you have to bind it with this.
This dot decker.
Yes. Now this should work.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
It will. It will.
That's what she said. Boing. Oh,
I am so.
horrible.
I'm so pleased with you.
Okay,
Do
I-
minus.
I just want to see
there.
something I want to understand here.
Oh well, we'll explain it again. But, please ask.
okay, now
please ask.
that I see that it works,
Uh-huh.
what I'm trying to understand here is that when we call inker, we're saying on the click of this, invoke what
This
the
dot
bind
anchor.
returns. Bind does return this state value, but
binds it with.
but
the correct-
where is the thing that sets the value?
Here, this dot set state.
That's right. Yeah, that's the thing. That's actually what causes also the re-render.
Exactly.
Okay, that's
This
what I was
dot set
looking
state
for.
does two things. It changes the state of the object, of the component, and re-renders it and its children.
Interesting.
Exactly. Now, when it re-renders it, okay, it
It only changes the stuff it needs to.
right. Now, this is the beauty of React, and that's why it used to be, and it still is one of the faster frameworks. Because think of that, it's doing two things. When it's re-rendering, it's rebuilding the virtual DOM, the React element tree, right? It's creating it anew, okay? You agree? And then it's rebuilding the real DOM. Remember, it's rebuilding the real DOM based on the virtual DOM. Now, if it would have been dumb, it would have killed the whole DOM and rebuilt it anew. But it can't do that. If we have thousands of DOM elements, it would be horribly inefficient.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact that focus will be lost and all those kinds of really bad things. So what it does, it uses a diff. It diffs the old virtual DOM and the new virtual DOM, checks what changed, and does only those changes on the real DOM.
And that's what makes it powerful.
Exactly, and
Because
fast.
it can be very scalable.
Exactly. Now, you don't care. That's the beauty. You just say, I wanted this to be rendered like this. I want to change the state there. And it takes care of all the sordid details. Now, look at this function render. You don't say, I want to change this, I want to change that element. If you did jQuery, you would have said, when I click, I want to change this element and this element and this element and that element. Okay? But here, you don't say that. You just say, I want to change the state and re-render as fast as you can do it, and it'll be very, very, very fast.
So,
And that is the big difference between React-like frameworks and jQuery MVC-like frameworks.
so the thing that actually is the object that React is looking at is this dot state, which is the object here. When this value changes, and we say set state because we're changing this object, then React will look at this object and render only the things that are important. But how does it know that value
It actually-
is supposed to be visible
It do-
only in like the span here?
It doesn't care. React does two things.
Okay.
It changes the state. This is the only time it knows about this dot state. That's one. Second, it just re-renders.
Oh,
The
it
fact that-
renders everything.
Everything.
But this is the only thing that seems to have a different value.
Exactly. If you didn't use the value, this dot state dot value, it will still re-render. It doesn't care.
It just,
It just
would render
calls
nothing.
the function.
It would change nothing.
It would change nothing.
So the
but
render
it will call render, get the React element.
So it's basically is doing brute force, but then diffing it.
Exactly. From your point of view,
Yeah.
you don't care. When I'm thinking about my application, I'm always thinking as if it's re-rendering everything all the time.
Because in a jQuery world, you would say, I don't want to render everything. I just want to change this one div. But in a React world, you are re-rendering everything, but you're diffing the result with the previous one, and then you're just changing the diff.
Exactly.
So you're still rendering everything. So isn't that more costly in terms of calculation, computation?
You don't care.
What do you mean? It still runs in the browser.
Oh, you mean the calling the render function?
Yeah, the render and then like diffing that stuff. There is calculation.
Yes. I mean, in the end, a React app will be less performant than a hand-tuned jQuery app.
Okay, so
But nobody hand-tunes jQuery apps. Nobody does that. I mean, yes, but you're sacrificing some amount of performance to create applications that are maintainable. Because this is really simple. When you create a React component, you don't need to think if this changes and if this. You just create a React component and you're done. And when you create a React component, you need to think of only two things. How will this look based on the state and the props? And what state do I change when a user clicks on something or enters text or something? And these two things are separate. Look, when I do an on-click on the anchor, I don't think, what do I need to re-render? No. I just think I need to change the state. And when I think about the render function, I don't think, what happens if I click? No, I just think, how do I render this based on the state and the props?
Okay, so I think this is a pretty good segue because I think at this point we kind of understand how to use React from like a native JavaScript world.
Exactly.
But from all the demos I've seen of React so far, there's this whole different syntax that you're using that you can never write in simple HTML, and that's probably going to be our next like episode
I
where we
think
talk
so.
about that kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
the
right?
whole tooling thing. I just want to say that this is not a React. The whole tooling, if you learn it, will help you not only in React. It will help you in all modern JavaScript frameworks because they all use the same tooling. So next lesson, definitely tooling.
What are we going to talk about, for example?
We will talk about Babel, which transpiles from ES6 to ES5 and does other stuff that we'll talk about. We will talk about Webpack, which enables us to write the application with multiple files and not just one big file, a huge big file.
Yeah.
And we will talk about NPM, which is the formal repository for modules, JavaScript modules.
NPM is Node.
NPM is
Node Package Manager.
Exactly, it's a Node Package Manager, but the front-end people co-opted it, and I'm guessing that today most of the packages in NPM are front-end packages, not
Interesting.
Node packages. But both exist, and both use the same infrastructure for modules. And that is why today we can currently talk about what is called isomorphic code and universal apps, which enables us to use the same code in the browser and in the server.
What about stuff like Create React App? We'll talk about that too.
Oh, definitely. Once we understand the tooling and we'll hand write the tooling code, we will stop because nobody ever hand writes their hand, and we'll just use Create React App to build a really good configuration that the people in Facebook and other companies have built for us.
Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Gil. This has been, I would say, more than informative.
I really enjoyed it.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you on next episode.
Yep.
Hopefully you've enjoyed. What do they say in YouTube videos? Subscribe and do this and do the other. So just do whatever you need to do. Okay. Cheers, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Just cash the check. Yeah, I'm about to blow it all on chocolate.